Happy Saturday morning, everybody. It's nice to see you. I'm here with Saturday morning sketches. And so I picked this sketch that I posted yesterday and decided that we'd work on that one. It's an old vintage sketch from, let me make sure that I'm in the camera properly so I don't have to worry about that while we're filming. It's a vintage sketch from Creative Memories. I think it's always fun to pull those out so that we have just a little bit something different and so that we're always using those sketches. And this one was fun, I thought, because I interpreted it with 1 4x6, 2 3x4s, and then some supporting papers around it. And I especially liked the stitching, which I'll do with my pens. And so it's just a fun sketch to look at. So when we take this sketch apart, let's do that before we go to the paper and everything. When we take this sketch apart, let's say this is a 3x4, and this is a 3x4, and this is a 4x6. Now, naturally, those pieces here are going to be different sizes because we have a little room in between, right? So I'm going to say those are going to be about 2.5 by 4. Good morning, Teresa. Hi, Kimberly. 2.5 by 4. So we've got 5, 8, 11. So that leaves us room in between and on the outside. So I may cut these at 2 3/4 first, just because you can't add once you cut, but you can subtract. So then this one also has 1/4 inch here, and it has like 1/8 inch on the outside. So that's about 1/2 inch. So we're going to say this piece right here is going to be 4 by 5.5, or I should say 5.5, because we go with the width measurements first. And then up here, we have a piece of paper that is a border. So now we've got 4, 4, that's 8. So we have like 3 3/4 left with the room in between. And we're going to say that this is 1 inch. I'm going to go with 1 inch to 1.5 inches. By 11.5, it looks like here, but I'm going to do this a full 12. Okay, and then we've got a border and a title. Okay, and I'm going to leave some of this space white up here so that we have a nice white edge. And of all the things I forgot to bring, it's white paper. So I'm grabbing my white paper, and here we go, a stack of white paper. Okay, today I'll show you what pictures I'm going to do, and I brought a lot of supporting things to go with it. I have these pictures of Jerry on our last vacation in the sea. And I chose them specifically because I wanted to use by the Seashore paper. I haven't touched this yet, and I really wanted to use it. And it's got so many great elements for sea pictures, and it's got these borders, which I can't get enough of those. Oh, look at that. That's the perfect border for that scallop part. Or we'll see if it's the perfect border. And then it has mat cards that I can use for some of the smaller pieces. And it has stickers. And as I looked through the stickers, they were kind of small to me. And so I grabbed some elements from, this is going to be too yellow, I can see that already. But I grabbed some other embellishments from Paradise Found because the colors kind of are muted like the paper. Oh, that sun will be nice. So I'll look for that. And then I have some from Mintay Designs. Now, it's Mintay papers, and it's got a lot of different Seashore embellishments. And you know me enough to know that I don't always stick to one thing when I'm mix and match. And then I've got some 49 in Market Rub-Ons, which I think are going to be beautiful with this paper. And then I chose an alphabet. So let's get going here on selecting the paper. So we need a sheet of paper down here, and we need some paper for these two pieces and a piece for right here. Alrighty, let's look at our paper. Oh, I'm so glad you like that I'm using this paper. Good morning, everybody. I can't keep up with you. I'm so glad you're here with me. All right. Now, obviously this is too busy for the pictures. And these were taken kind of at like an evening, so they have a little bit of a muted look themselves in the picture. And I don't want anything that dark, so we're going to rule that sheet out. And we don't need sailboats, but boy, do I love that paper. So I'm going to set that one aside as a possibility. And then we've got the knot, but oh, look at that. I'm going to set that aside too. And then we have this nice striped, which really is going to match well in small doses. You don't want to use this in big doses on your sheet. And shells, and there's really no shells in these photos because it's a very windy sea. This is really nice, this paper. Oh, I like that. I wonder if that's a little too dark. That might work because of the color in the squares. And then we go to the paper that is Fast to Fab. And I don't think I'm going to use any of that. Maybe I'm going to look at the back side here of this one. That's a lot like the first one I chose. So I'm going to put those aside and pick out the 4 papers that I have. Oops. I know, Tracy, I love the stripe too. And so here's my 12 by 12 paper. And then we've got, see, that really is good for the sand. All 4 of these will work really well. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab some paper for that 1.5 inch strip. And that's where I'm going to use the stripe. When you have something that I like to call a hero paper that is bigger and bolder and has a lot more dimension on it, you want to grab small pieces of that. You don't want to use big pieces. Now I want my stripes to go up and down, so I'm going to turn my paper this way in the trimmer and cut 1.5 inches. Okay, and then my paper turns out in the, then it's vertical. You can tell when it's morning, right? Okay, let's kind of start laying this out as I build it. Oh, his favorite place is the water. And so it's so fun to do photos. All right, now we need paper for here. Oh no, these go like this. We need paper for here and here. All right, and I determined already that I really liked that border. And I can add more of these borders, but I really liked this one right here. Oh, and now I don't know if I do with this striped paper at the top. That's a little too much pattern for me. Yeah, I think I'd have to have something else up there. Which of those papers matches that really nicely? It would most likely be this blue. Okay, so let's cut a piece of that. I am not afraid to cut apart paper and use it and make sure that I have the layout that I want versus just grabbing something and using it. These are going in my memory book, and that's how I'd like you to think too, is that pictures are going in the memory book, and so you want to make sure that you have exactly what you want. Oh, see, that's much better. Much better. Not so much pattern in there. And I could have chosen another piece of paper, another border too. Let's see what we have for borders here. We have seashells and starfish. Oh, and then we have this nice, see, that would be too much with the stripe too, but this is really a nice border, so I have to set that one aside. And this is seashells, and then we have the anchors and the inner tubes and the oars. Okay, so see, all of those would have been a little too much with that striped. Do you see what I mean? And then let's take this off, because this is going to determine what my paper will be in the rest of the layout. Okay, obviously I don't want to put, I like that. Huh. We'll have to see. Obviously, if I'm having a pattern for the border, I don't want to choose a pattern for right below. So let's see what this does. That's really nice with those pictures. And that striped piece might be nice down here. So I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look through my mat cards, because that's what they are for. The sea is calling. That's a perfect card for in there. So I determined I need to cut these down to 2 3/4, and if I need to cut it down further, I will. So I'm gonna cut this down right in its half spot. And then I've got a 3 1/4 inch card left, right? So I want this 2 3/4, which is a 1/2 inch smaller. So I'm going to take a 1/4 of an inch off each side so that it's evenly spaced, right? And I'm gonna go with 2 1/2 on this. And then we need it to be 4 inches tall, and it's 4 1/2. So I need to take a 1/4 of an inch off the top and the bottom. And that leaves my sentiment right in the middle. So now let's look and see what that 2 1/2 inch is going to look like in there. Oh, I think 2 1/2 is just right, because we don't want those pictures right to the edge. Boy, that's a nice card. It was like it was made for that. All right. looking for some more half cards that can be cut down. Here we go. Oh, that's a nice journaling box. So there's a possibility. Life is better at the beach. That is the absolute fact. You, me, and the sea. I like the dark blue on that. So I'm going to leave that. What a view. Oh, that I might put down in this bottom spot. And then I also want probably a card. Wow, I'm going to teach you how to use the cards today. But I also want to look at the paper a little bit more, because that card matches this paper very nicely. So I'm just going to cut a 2.5 by 4 inch piece of this. Adrian, you like the banner as the border. Yes, I do too. Yes, Brenda, you've got to quit saving your paper. We have to use it. And if it means cutting it up and then using it for something else, that's okay. I am okay with cutting up my paper. Okay, so I think I see a nice pattern happening already. Oh, and it gives me enough room to leave some white space behind there. And if I use this at the top, okay, then I wouldn't mind using that at the bottom either, but I also wouldn't mind, let me take this scrap of this. I also wouldn't mind using that at the bottom to get a little more of that dark blue in. I'm thinking about sand here. So let's see. Let's go ahead and give this a try. 4 inches. And then let's go to 5 3/4. Now that might be a little big considering I cut the other ones down to 2.5. And we do want them to end at the same spot. So my friends, what do you do when you've already cut a piece of paper, this card, at 2.5, but then you have some room here? You know what you do? You cut another piece of this. And for that, I'm going to need, let's cut it at 2 3/4 and see what I think. This is already 4 inches. So first we'll cut it at 3. And we'll see if that all lines up. Otherwise, I can cut this down too. I just was liking a little less white. Nope, 3 was going to be good. And then the 2.5 in here. So that works out well. And then this is right against there. But I saw that paper that looked like sand. And I'm going to grab that. And I'm going to get my wavy cutting system. This is why I have everything close to me at my desk when I'm working. And let's put this paper. And I'm going to cut the wave down below, and then I can cut what I need up at the top of it. And I want to use my red blade because it's the closest one. I love this paper. It is so nice. I'm working upside down here, so I got to make sure I'm in here right. And I've got my wavy border secure at the edge. I don't have any measurements because I kind of moved the paper up so that I could make sure you'd see. Oh, nice, 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 nice. Okay, so I've got my wave there. And I don't want too much wave right here. So I'm going to close my blade first. This is why I need that sort thing that we're coming out with on Monday, because, you know, the desk gets kind of messy here. Let's use this one. 5 3/4 by 4. So we'll cut it at the 4-inch. You know, the fact of the matter is if you use your paper, it's not going to be so hard to buy the next paper. Because you'll think, oh, I'm running out of paper. I absolutely love to run out of paper. And if there's more of one I like, then I buy more. And if there's not, then I buy something else. Because there's always good paper out. Now that was 4 inches tall. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go 1.5 inches on this wave. See, that didn't take all that much paper. And let's see, I need to grab a scissors because I kind of moved the paper up when it was upside down. Trim that off. Oh, I like it a lot. I'm going to grab this You and Me in the Sea card. Just in case I want it, I'm going to have it cut. And this What of You. Because What of You would be very nice on this card, and I would cover that with something else. Okay, but let's see what we're going to do with this first of all. Can't think too many steps ahead like I usually am. And let's grab that 4x6 plaid paper again. And let's determine which one we're going to mess with here. Okay, so I've got this one. All right. If you want everything to be 3 by 4, you can certainly use 3 by 4 for everything and then just put them together, right? This might be really nice down here. I'm going to change my mind on something. If you scrap with me enough, you might know that I change my mind all the time, because nothing is written in stone. So if you wanted them to be 3 by 4 instead of having that space in between, you would cut this at 6 and then just put, oh, see, there we go with that. That's nice. No, because this is up here, so we don't want that there. Let's see. Oh, there's too many choices for me even. Too many choices. It's so good, such good paper. I think I'm going to go with this and the light so that I can bring this here. Then I've got this and this coming together. So what I can do in here, we can put that "See is Calling" card here again. Because I don't want to go right next to each other. I like that white space in between. So let's move that up. Now we're gonna take a little bit of Summer Sky ink. This was the most beautiful sea. Really, you couldn't go in it much. And I'm going to get some Summer Sky ink on this piece right here to kind of darken a row. It's going to be really hard to see Summer Sky on here. Yep, I'm working right on my layout. How about that? Doesn't matter if ink gets here, it's going to be covered up. And there's really only so much workspace. I don't know if you can see it darkening yet, but I can see it darkening in that center. And this isn't one I need to pounce off because it's so light, it wouldn't matter. There. Now we're going to see this wave just a little differently. I could splatter in here to make the splatters a little different, but there's a lot of nice splatter built into the paper, and I really like it. I don't want to take away from that paper texture. That has got some really nice sea splatters in it. But what I wouldn't mind doing, see, inking just takes a little bit to achieve the depth you want. And right now you should be seeing like a gradient look. And it's taken quite a few ink loads on my brush, hasn't it, to achieve that. Now I could have gone with a little darker ink, I didn't want to. These pictures call for a little bit more of a muted look to them. And I want to grab my Splattered Elements stencil. My stencils have tape all over them. And I'm going to put some of these splatters in blue. And I always cover that little Creative Memories mark because I don't want to get that on the paper. So this splatter is going to go above the wave. It'll start down below here, but it'll go above the wave. And for that, I'm really pressing hard. You will hear me say so many times, go with a light hand. But for this, you've got to press a little harder. Now, let's see how that looks. You see that splatter? That mimics this splatter up here. Now, let's do one over here. And you saw that I was using my brush very controlled. I wasn't using it in large circles because I don't have tape here, for one thing. And for another thing, I want you to see that you can use your brush at the head. I am actually using the tip of the brush to do this inking. No, you can't take paper with you. So you might as well use it. There. Oh, I did get a little on the paper, but that's okay because it's going to be covered. Now, when you go to clean that stencil, I know I have a lid here for my ink. When you go to clean that stencil, all you need to do is use a little bit of water and wipe it with a microfiber cloth. Now I want to add, do you see how much that added just to do a little more inking and a little stenciling? Now I want to ink this paper with my Toffee Crunch. So I'm going to grab the Toffee Crunch and I'm going to put some scrap paper under there because I don't necessarily want that brown. I can have a piece of, here we go. And so toffee is also very light. But I'm going to pounce this off. That's my scrap. See what it looks like. See the depth of my ink. And get that on the edge. I'm kind of using the side of the brush now to get that on the edge. So don't look at these brushes and think you've got to use the whole head of it. That's not the case at all. This paper that I'm using has such a nice depth to it with like all these splotches and things that I don't even need to splatter in this one. But you don't always have to use, what I hope I've shown you here is that you don't always have to use the full brush. You can use the sides, the tip, anything you need to achieve the look you want. All right, we can get that, oh, look at that, that's cool. That would make a nice cloud, don't you think? There, I gave you another idea for that wavy stencil. Clouds. Okay, so let's put that on the bottom. I really like that. Okay, I'm only going to put adhesive on the bottom edge because I'm going to want to tuck things probably underneath there. And then I'm going to kind of move it around until I see the waves where I want them. Pick that up and cut it off. Okay, so now I've got my piece for this end and the picture. Let's start putting this down so that it's so that I know what I'm doing more or less, and I know where I'm putting the second one. Okay, I'm leaving like a 1/16 of an inch. And I used repositionable, so if I need to move that over, I can. I think it's a little crooked because this isn't sitting straight. Now let's see if I can get it to sit straight. Yes, that was it. All right. Here's another thing I use a lot of, tape, because I'm not going to have my pictures fall off. This is really excellent tape, so I'm not so worried about that, but I have had albums fall apart. So from early on years. Here's my multi-purpose tool. Oh, it's got adhesive at the end. I need to clean that off. What I use to clean it off is my rub and remove eraser. There, now I have them exactly the way I want them. I just use this. There's no reason you couldn't bring it to the sink and wash it, but I just use this. And I use this on my scissors too if they get foam tape on them. But this takes all that gunk right off. And I have to be careful on my end. I got a little too aggressive one time and I bent the end. So I probably should get a new one. And your multi-purpose tool is clean. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and start putting these, but because we've got that light blue there, I'm going to put this over here. Let's go back to the sketch so you can see what the sketch looks like. You can round your corners if you want, or you can change that. I am not a corner rounding girl. I never have been, and I just like my straight linear edges. So I'm going to put this on. And I'm going to leave the same distance from the edge as I did from the lower picture and that much room in between. Okay, and then a photo. Now, I want to show you something. Because I used this over here, this photo is not going to line up with this photo. If that bothers you, good thing we're repositionable, right? If that bothers you, make sure you have this photo lined up with this and you have the right right cut, okay? You'd have to go down a little further if that bothers you. It doesn't bother me. Okay. And then we'll leave that much room in between. Now we'll go ahead and I'm going to put this one on because I'm going to see if I have to cut down that blue piece at all. So we might have to, oh no, we have more room. So let me see. I'm going to use this in a different spot. Okay. Okay, so that 1/16 of an inch leaves like a hairline in between, which I absolutely love. Are you guys dying at how much adhesive I use? Well, okay. I want to measure, we're going to measure. That is 2 3/4 inches from there. So I am going to have it 2 5/8 by 4. This is by 4. So 2 5/8. And I love the new trimmer because I can do 2 5/8 very easily without guessing where it is because the measurement is right on the trimmer. Okay, I can manage with that. It is a little fussier for me because I'm altering the dimensions of the paper. If you just choose one and go with more room in between, you will not have to be fussy like I'm being fussy. Not at all. But my scrapbooking is kind of fussy even when I'm building workshops for y'all. I'm a little fussy. I make sure I have things just the way I want them so that I can teach you different things with them. And then I need to lift this one up. This picture, you can't see it, but it has the most beautiful, the camera captured, well, my phone camera, captured the most beautiful crystals in the sand on this photo. And it's just a lovely photo to have. Now, if you have little ends that stick up like this, this is one of the reasons I keep Barely Art on hand. It's Barely Art liquid glue. And it just gets some adhesive It's got such a fine tip. Get some adhesive there, and I can get that end down. And I guess I have it here too. And then it won't fold over when you're putting it in your book. Lots of times if you leave those little corners, they will. Okay, now I do want this cut to the same size as this. So I'm going to take my ruler and measure across from here to the end of that picture is 11 7/8. Such a tiny little measurement, isn't it? So I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off. So I'm not going to open my trimmer to go 11 7/8. I'm just going to use the 1/8 inch mark. And the 1/8 inch mark, this is the cutting mark on the left on the cutting mat. And on the right is the 1/8 inch mark. And if you go up to here, it's 1/4 inches. So I'm going to put it at the 1/8 inch mark. How easy is it to use our trimmer? All those things already built in. And it's still just a little long, so I'm going to take a 1/16 of an inch off, which this is going to be really tricky to get that amount off. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you another trick that I have. For when I need to cut just that little tiny bit off. See how it's just a little longer there? I'm going to take my ruler. Let me find it here. Oh, here it is. And I'm going to line this up with the pictures. I'll move this up a little bit more. I'm going to line this up with the photos, and I can see that I have just a hair too much. And I'm going to take my fingertip. I use a fingertip X-Acto knife. They're from Fiskars, and they give you so much control. Now I've got this nice cut mark at exactly the right place. And I can pull that up. There we go. I try not to cut through the paper. Sometimes that happens, but it's on the back if it happens. So it's okay. And look at that. There it is. It's exactly the same size. So invest in one of these if you don't have one, because it'll help you. All right. Now we need to decide on that border. So I've got this one, which is really nice. I like it. And it kind of ties in the blue and the brown. See how that brings that in there? And we have the flags, which are super nice. I don't feel like they can go on here. I just don't feel like that. Maybe. But I don't feel like they flow quite as nice as this does. And I can even turn this the opposite way because it's upwards in this. And I don't know, that seems kind of county fairish to me. So I'm gonna flip it the other way. And I may not even use it because I pulled out this sunshine border. Okay, this came with Chasing the Sun. And I'm actually going to punch a 12-inch border out of this. And I'm going to do it in white, first of all. And I'm gonna see what I think of the white. I've got to grab some white paper. Karen, way too much repo, but you do you. I am gonna do me forever. You know what happened if you haven't watched me before? I did my son's baby book years and years ago. And I opened it up one day and it had all fallen apart. And I do not ever want to take that risk again. And I do use a lot of tape. And that's okay. We can all do exactly what we want to do when we're scrapbooking. There are no rules. The flags bring out the red on the shirt. Yes, I did notice that. I just want to see what these suns look like. Because that might give me more leeway to use the flags. See, that looks really nice on there with it being white, considering we're using so much white. I just am really not happy with that one. And with the sun, I don't know if I'm happy with that one, but I really like the sun. Oh, I didn't catch up with you, Kimberly. I'm not sure which you like better. Teresa, call me the queen of photo splits. I use a ton. Susan, I use a lot of tape too. That same thing happened to one of my books. I figured tape is cheap compared to the time when I have to redo the book. Yes. Kim, you use a lot of tape runner. Do you like the sun punch, Adrian? Not the flags so much, Teresa. I don't even like the scallop when it comes to that. I like the suns. But I'm going to tell you something really crazy. I'm going to punch this sun in this brown. I don't want yellow. I don't want orange. That won't work. But I'm going to show you in a second why I'm punching these in this brown. And you might think, oh my gosh. You know, scrapbooking and embellishments are subjective. You can use whatever you want, wherever you want. You guys like the sun. I do too. This is a nice punch. And I'm a little particular about my punches right now. I'm starting to run out of room. And I can't keep buying them because I have no more space to put another. Okay, so now we see how this is white on here, and it brings out the white in between, right? And I worked very hard to get that white in between. So, but what it doesn't do is bring out that sand. And so I just want to see what that does. I don't know. I got to look at it on screen. I like that it keeps the whole thing muted. And the white is very stark. And I'm going to leave that sit there a second. Just until I figure out. Now I need to trim this down a little bit. I'm going to leave it sit there a second and see how that grows on me. I've changed my mind for a lot of things already. And that's okay. Balanced, yes, Kimberly. And Kim, you like the brown. See, I knew it. Teresa, the brown is better. I agree. This is beautiful on a bright page. These pictures were very muted in themselves. There was all this mist from the sea and all that kind of stuff. And I just think that this brown ties in with this very, very well. So now the question would be, do I put that? I don't need to put that ink there, but I'm gonna. Just because I want to see it. So here we have this and my toffee. And I'm just gonna go in circles on the edge. It's not gonna add the same depth as on the sand, but it's gonna add just enough depth to balance off that bottom piece. So if you ever think you can't punch the sunshine punch in a tan, that's just not true. It can be punched anywhere. Like I said, scrapbooking is subjective. If I put flowers over the sun, it would be okay because it's a balanced embellishment. Okay. Now I've got just a little bit of brown. Oh, this would be a lovely stencil. Look at that. Okay. Now I've got just a little bit of brown on there. I'm going to kind of half fold my edges to make sure they're straight. I felt like this paper was crooked a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to glue it down because I like it. Okay, and we have enough white, and I'm using my Barely Art glue to put adhesive very lightly over this, just in the empty spaces. I don't need it everywhere. Okay. All right, let's pick that up, flip it on over. Oh, I got a little adhesive on this one picture. I'm not so worried about that. I can reprint it. I can also put an embellishment there. Okay. Yes, you do need to ink it. Yeah, the ink on the edges is good. Sandy, I'm glad. I love our inks too. Now remember this Sea is Calling card? I need to use that for journaling though. I really like this. But I'm not real thrilled. Let's set that aside because I can't make a decision. Okay, I grabbed some gradient letters. These are from Heidi Swapp, and I love them. So I'm going to use this for a title, and I better see and make sure I have enough letters to write what I want to write. T E S E A. Oh, I'm going to run out of A's. So, I might have to do this. I better see if I can find any more of these. These are great for the ocean. So I've used these letters a lot. I know you've seen them in my artwork. And they're such a nice contrast between that dark blue and the light blue, and they match so well. And I am always looking for bigger embellishments. I love big embellishments. Big letters, big embellishments. Remember Birthday Jubilee? I loved that so much because it had these huge, huge balloons and pinwheels and things like that. I'm having trouble seeing that far away with my bifocals. If you have bifocals, you know what I mean. Okay, I thought that was a little high. I'd love to see if you make this page. I'd love to see what you come up with. Here I'm going to go back to the tape. The small amount of tape in the corners would work just fine and it would stick. It's a whole thing with me now that I'm putting together, because here I am working on a book that I had done quite some time ago. Little by little, I'm getting it done. And so it's a mindset for me to make sure that I have enough adhesive. Oh boy, I'm out of E's and A's. I need some more of this. I hope I can still find it. These were made by American Crafts for Heidi Swapp, and American Crafts is no more. So it's gonna take a little bit of a search to find these. And look at that, there's the Sea of Cortez, and I like the taller title. Now, why does that look like it's going crooked at sea? Oh, it is a little bit, just a little bit. Not so much that it would be such a problem to leave it. Okay, there we go. I love it. I love the title. I love the gradient letters. Now that we have inks, you could do that with our inks and our white letters too. And you all know the die cutting machine is coming out, so I have to believe there's going to be an alphabet. You could do that with gradient inks as well. So I might not have to search for anything. I'm going to look for a journaling card for down here that's got the same colors. And if not, I'm going to draw lines and journal there. Oh, I like this little banner on here, but we'll look at some stickers now too. So I ended up not using this Sia's calling card, and I ended up not using any of my borders, but I have them there in case I did decide to use one. Like I could see, oh, see, that was kind of cool. Putting it on the middle like that. And I think the flags would just, oh no, that's just not really good at all. No, so these aren't going to be used. Okay, now I've got stickers. This one didn't come with embellishments, so that's why I was looking for some extra embellishments. And I've got these nice rub-ons by 49 in Market, and I've got these nice Mintay paper die cuts. And so I'm going to open these up and put them out so that I can see if I like any of them. Oh, that's an olive tree. That would work well on my Italy pages, and I believe Mintay is out of Italy. So these might not work well either because the blue is kind of off. It's not the same blue. So even though I like these, I would prefer to create my own that match the paper. I'd rather have it that matches the paper. So now we can get that one out of the way. But these, my friends, are really nice and have a lot of unique little, like this one, for instance. And these are just rub-ons that can go behind things, like the background of your, the background using ink. You know how I use ink a lot of times? I rub it behind things. That's what these will do. They will give you that look. And for this one, these don't rub on quite as easily as the ones we get at Creative Memories. So I need to use a little bit. I'm using the back end of my tweezers because I don't know where my stylus is. It's somewhere, but it's not here. So, and this is something you're barely going to be able to see, but it adds just that little bit of brown and print to that page. And then I want to find one that goes the other way, but we'll wait. So I'm going to grab these and see what colors I like. Oh, this is nice, this striped border. I don't need it now, but it was nice. And To the Beach, Relax, Scenic Overlook, Sun and Shore, Marina. If I were going to use this embellishment, I would put it right over that rub-on. I wanted to show you what I mean about it being the base of a layout. So we have Enjoy the Waves, Seaside Adventures, what else in the same colors? The best memories are made at the beach, Feel the breeze, Soak up the sun. That's got flowers on it though. So I think if I were to use that, I would want to hide those flowers and use just a portion of it. Okay. And then we've got all of these, which are this, oh, these are pretty. This little crab is cute. Could see using him. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to put some 3D foam tape on this guy. And I'm cutting it in very small pieces. And if I can get pieces thin enough, I'm going to put them on his little chompers. I have a friend, Michelle. Many of you know her from doing Inspired Memories. She can cut the smallest pieces of foam tape. I don't know how she does it, but she does it. Okay. See what I mean by that? That's cute. And there were crabs. There were crabs even if you dug a little bit under the sand right here. So it was really a unique experience to have that. And I always try to be authentic with what I put on a page for what we've seen, because I think that is important. So I've made this nice little cluster right there. And then I'm going to grab something to be, I'm not quite certain. I don't like that blue. The blues are really, see, I could see using this. This would bring out the red. Salt, sun, and the sea. But I'm not sold on that. And so I'm going to put it back because you don't want to put stickers down unless you know you're going to keep them there. Oh, I like that. So I'm going to grab another rub-on. And there's one right up here that I like. I've got adhesive on my scissors. These go perfectly with this in the shore paper. Now, I'm just going to put this right here. And so I want to put that a little further above. And you're probably wondering, well, you can hardly see that. Why would you put it there? Depth and texture is exactly why you put it there. You want a little bit of texture in that whole element, but not so much that it sticks out like a sore thumb. I just really believe that. Okay, so you can see kind of the messy look to that. Oh, did they have gradient letters with Cue the Blue? That was way before me. Yes, down here, Kim, just adding the lines. I know, that's exactly what I'm going to do down there. And so I can put this either way, but that gives me a little bit of depth and texture right where I need it. Ooh, if you don't like how much repositionable I use, you're not going to like how much of this I use either. And then I'm still going to powder it. Because I also don't like my embellishments to drop down where there's no embellishment, where there's no adhesive. So I go ahead and put when I use the powder tool, I go ahead and I put the adhesive on it, leaving the backing. And then I just go over it like this, and I take off all that sticky around it. Okay? So now it's not sticky anywhere. I can't feel a stick anywhere. But yet when I take these backings off, I've got a three-dimensional piece. Kim, you're laughing at me, aren't you? You remember Karen Pedersen? She was the same way. Maybe because she was my leader for so many years, I learned. Okay. Seaside Adventures. That's really lovely. And you know what's lovely about it? It's my page. And when you create your pages, that's exactly how you should feel about your own pages. You should feel like, oh my goodness, that's just so pretty. And that's how you should feel all the time when you create. I think I'm going to do a couple of, no, maybe I'll do them down here. I'm going to quit right there because I don't quite know what I want to do yet. And when I finish it, I'll post it for you. It might be such that I take this border and take a portion of it for down there. But let's cut that apart and see what that looks like. Or I might use a portion of it up here. But that affects my balance, and I want you to see that when you put something here and here and there. Right now I've got this really nice balance going with the browns and the blues and just adding that deeper blue in. And then the embellishments all are in a nice triangle right here. What I'd really like to do, and what sometimes we have to do, is sit on it. We just have to leave it the way that it is for a little bit, look at it, look at the embellishments again, and see if there's something we could pick out of there. Like, I could take, I would feel better about taking, I should say, pieces of this banner and putting it where I want it to go, rather than using the whole long banner, because then I'm getting exactly the colors that I want from this. I don't really want the island water blue, but see, something like that. I don't really want this dark green. This one's okay. And it's got that little bit of red that I remember Tracy brought out the shirt. See, something like that is good. Something like that maintains that balance in your triangle and also sticks to the colors. Oh, see, Kim, you were taught by Karen. Yes, yes. And Jill uses just little tiny pieces. And, you know, I think we all are different in what we do. I'm not in love with the rest of these triangles on this piece that I cut. Don't worry, I didn't ruin this. Not at all. This is all will all be used for pieces like this. I can hear you worrying that why did I cut apart a banner? Because I wanted to, and because it works the best on the page when it's cut apart like that. And now I can do a little angle with it if I want, or I can leave it straight if I want. And you notice I haven't put any glue on there yet because I don't know if it's what I want. I'm going to walk away from this page. I like it so much, and I like the peacefulness of my husband, and I may just want it to be peaceful and rest in this. Okay, so we'll see what I do. I don't know. I might do a little bit of this stenciling up and around here. That would make a really nice finish off to this title. But either way, I'm not going to rush it because we have a lot of Saturday morning sketches, and I have a big desk over above my other desk here that can hold this layout for as long as I need it to. So there you go, my friends. I hope that you picked up a few tips. And yeah, Kim, I agree with you. I agree with you. Shirley, I love to go through my process because it really helps, I think. It helps you think of why I do the things the way I do. And now that I'm looking at this on the screen, I really do like those little flags right there. So they're probably going to get glued down. But I really feel like I need to bring this depth of ink and that little bit of splatter up here. So we'll see. I'm going to set it aside and I'm going to let you go about your Saturday. All right? I hope you guys have had a good time. And next week I have something special going on. When you come to join me next week, I want you to bring a simple page kit because I'm going to teach you how to reimagine a simple page kit. Tracy, the sketch is on my page here. Just click on the photos and you'll find it, okay? All right, my friends. Have a great Saturday and a great Memorial Day weekend. I'll talk to you soon. And just when you thought my video was over, here I am facing the camera talking to you about how I finished off this page. I absolutely loved working with By the Seashore paper. It was so much fun. It's so peaceful, and it was just what these peaceful photos needed to enhance them. And really, that's what you're doing when you scrapbook. You're enhancing your photos. So I finished off with some journaling and I typed it. When I type it, I put up Word, and you can use any program. And I made the paper size 4x6, okay, or 6x4. I go landscape. And then I space the writing 1.5 so that I have room to cut in between. And then I just print it off and cut my strips apart. It's so easy. And I can fit a lot more when I'm typing than when I am handwriting. And so I wanted to be able to do that. I added another 49 and Market Rub-On, and then I took a few elements from the Mintay papers embellishments that I had shown you and put those along the bottom. The little gems you see are clear gems, and they're not sparkles, so they look a lot like water drops, and they are from Honeybee Stamps Back to the Basics, and I will link all of this in the comments. So I am happy. And I also added a little bit of summer sky blue to the corner up here to bring your whole eye in a triangle. And you'll see this page on the beginning of the video, and I'll put it again at the end so that you can see how I finished it off. I really didn't do too much more. I love simple pages. I love simple and linear. And so I think that this turned out well, and I'm really happy. I hope you do this sketch, and I can't wait to see what you create.